Welcome to Small Garden Big Plot. If we haven't met before, I'm Amanda and today we're in the garden trying to catch up. We're here in the greenhouse and I'm thinking about how to make sense of the chaos around me. I know that I can give myself a bit of a hard time about keeping the garden looking neat. I'm not here to get embarrassed about how untidy my garden can get. For me, it's about growing what feels good to grow and having fun doing what I love to do. We had a really long blast of hot weather and that was followed by a bit of a wet out. The plants are a bit confused, to say the least, and actually so am I. I had a walk around a bit earlier and I've made a list of things to get done, and I thought I'd take you along with me and see what's happening in my very small garden this week. Friday is feeding day here for the plants in pots. We feed on Friday and there's plenty of rainwater and plants prefer rainwater. Feeding gives me a chance as well to take a look at each plant and see what I'm doing and where we are with things. It's interesting, I think, that the cucumbers here in the greenhouse were producing 2 or 3 mini cucumbers a day in the sunny days, and they stopped producing. Absolutely, they're not producing anything at all at the moment. And I think that's because of the rain and the cloud. So a good feed today is going to set them up for the warm days that we're expecting ahead of us. Now, the pot grown tomatoes have just about reached the top of the strings and I need to pinch them out and take off any side shoots. Actually, I'm sitting here and I've just spotted that there's a couple of ripe ones. Oh, I haven't seen those before. How delicious, look, off we go. And so I'm going to be, tomatoes. So I'll be bagging over the blossoms on the heirloom tomato varieties, I think, before too long. I want to get them bagged over before they open up so that I can save seeds from the fruit to plant next year. So what else have I got on my list? Well, today is really about tying things up and looking after things and seeing what needs to be potted up in the greenhouse and seeing what is ready to go out from the greenhouse. I've got some Cobra French beans that are starting to look a bit sad. I've also got some courgettes in the back of the greenhouse as well, and they too are really impatient to go out. Courgettes love to sprawl and to grow, and where they are in the pots in the greenhouse they can't do that. I mean, they should have been outside in their beds about a week ago, but because the weather was so wet it would have turned them into slug food, so it didn't seem to me to be a very good idea. Now, the Carabida peas that I've also started and that are in the greenhouse, they're getting a bit spindly. They need to go out too. I need to get them growing outside, and I will definitely be saving seed from them this year. So what else? The little chili peppers I started, well, they're still in their pots and I've only really got about 110 days of my growing season left. Chili plants, in case you don't know, they're really slow to fruit in the UK, even in a greenhouse. And so I need to catch up with that as soon as I can. I need to put them into new pots. It only takes a minute, so that'll be a job I'll get round to doing today. I suppose the big challenge today is to try not to keep adding things to my list. You always spot more things, you see, when you start looking at the plants. I mean, I'm sitting here with these tomatoes and I can already see that there's another one, so now I've got 3. So I've already got a pretty full list. As it's that time of the year. June is always in the run-up to the solstice on the 21st. It always feels like a really busy time of the year. So unless it's urgent, I'll try not to think about it today. So what else would be on my list? Well, we've got to do a little bit of work outside the greenhouse as well. So outside the greenhouse, in the main garden area, in the long beds, I've noticed that the aphids, little green aphids, are swamping the tops of the mange tout. So if I give them a water blast, that should get rid of them. If it doesn't, I'll need to bring out the neem and soap water spray. But that's about it really for me, unless I stand and pick all the aphids off by hand, which isn't very nice, but I will do it. You see, I don't like to use toxic pesticides on the vegetable plants that I'm then going to eat, so I won't be doing that. Oh, and the slug caves that I discovered in the garden, they turned out to be woodlice caves. I found, just in case you don't know, I found little caves in the strawberries and also in the kohlrabi. And I have it on very good authority, the woodlice find potatoes absolutely irresistible. So what I've done is I've pulled back and I took out any straw mulch. I'll do some more of that today, and that will stop them from having a hiding place. But I'll check on the potatoes that I've put in the bed to see if they're working. So I've also been clearing away the carrots that have begun to produce flower heads in the long bed, and I think this has already helped the tomatoes. They were being a bit crowded out because the the carrot tops had flopped over onto them. But I need to remove the rest of the carrots to improve the airflow around the tomatoes. I'm growing heirlooms and they are not as robust. They will easily find themselves falling foul to all sorts of fungal issues or different kind of pest pressures and mold. I really don't want that to happen because I want to save those seeds too. So I need to remove the rest of the carrots to improve the airflow. And I'm probably going to then top dress the soil with some homemade compost from the rotary composter, because I noticed that some of that was now ready, and that's going to feed those tomatoes up beautifully. I don't know what I'm going to do really about the gargantuan 9-star broccoli plant. It's amazing. I'll show you some pictures of this plant. I really love it, I do. It's obviously really loving being in the garden. It's lovely and it's doing well and it's spreading, but I've had no harvest of it and it's too big for where it is actually in this bed. It should have been ready to harvest at the end of May and it's now June and I can't see anything on the plant. It's supposed to grow about 3 feet tall and it's way taller than that as well, and it's crowding out that bed. In fact, it's sprawling all over it. So I'm going to take some side shoots and I'm going to propagate them, and I'll make some space if I can remove that plant for the Carabidamos sound peas, because actually at this stage they're more important. Now also in the long bed, the butternut squash and the watermelon, they're waiting for the sunshine, aren't we all? There's not a lot I can do about that except hope. I do need though to get some basils in that same bed and also put some dill in there as well. I'll think about that another time. I haven't really got any herb plants ready to go in at the moment there, so there's not a lot I can do about that anyway. So the vegetables in the allotment bed have really been enjoying the showers that we've been having. And if you look at the allotment bed starting at the patio side, you can see that I've lost all the strawberries. They were lasered in the hot spell and they just didn't come back. And at the other end of the bed, at the far part of this bed, I lost all the celery. Well, I didn't lose all of it. I think there were 2 plants that managed to make it through, and I'm on my second planting and they still don't look quite right. I think the leeks in the bed, they look phenomenal. I'm really pleased with them. We're going to have a great leek harvest. So do the Swedes and the beetroots. I haven't seen any woodlice caves in those yet, but I don't know what to do. Do I put a potato in there and attract the woodlice, or do I just wait until I see some damage? You know, fingers crossed I won't get any damage if they've already been in the other beds. I don't think I've written down that much on my list about seed saving, but I am thinking about it. I'm growing a lot of heirloom varieties this year, and that's so that I have plenty of my own seeds to hand and available next year. Heirloom seeds reproduce true to the parent plant, and so saving and replanting over time means that the plants will gradually adapt to your own soil, your own growing conditions. So these melons here growing next to me, well, these are third generation Oxfordshire melon seeds from my garden. I call them my OX11 seeds. I do keep my OX11 seeds in my seed vault, and if you'd like to know which varieties are in that vault, please leave me a message in the comments below. There's nothing I love to talk about more as a seed geek about the seed than the seeds that I love and that I have in my collection. So what else? Oh yes, the rosemary was also nuked in the hot weather that we had. It really hasn't come back. So I took some cuttings from it, and one has already produced roots. It's probably only taken about a week and a half, so I'm really pleased with that. So that means at some stage soon the old plant will need to come out. And I will change all the soil and put a brand new one in. It's not a job for this weekend though. I'm just going to pot on the little rosemary and keep it in the greenhouse until I have a bit more time on my hand. And I think the only other thing that's on my list that I want to be considering, even though it's not quite time for it yet, is I want to be pinning down any runners that are being sent out from the Seascape strawberries. These strawberries are great. They're so prolific. I've been really surprised with them. If I can pin down any strawberry runners, then I'm going to be able to increase the strawberry bed size next year, because they will produce more strawberry plants, and that's really what we want in a small garden like mine. I actually, in a previous vlog, took you strawberry picking with me, and the strawberries, when I was getting them all ready for the jam jelly compote pie filling I was making, all the strawberry tops that were left over, I turned into a ferment for a homemade strawberry vinegar, and maybe we need to take a quick look at that, see what's happening in the kitchen. So the strawberry vinegar we made before, it's now finished its first stage ferment. If you want to know how to do this, if you check out my website at smallgardenbigplot.com, I'll put the complete process of how to make your own strawberry top vinegar there for you. Anyway, I strained out all of these strawberry tops because they'd finished the first ferment, and I put them, I put the strawberry tops in my composter, and then the liquid that was left over, really pink, is beautiful colour actually, and it tasted like a sour strawberry juice. Anyway, the second vinegar. The second stage of the vinegar is really simple, but we're at that second stage. So what I'll do is, after I've taken out the strawberry tops and sieved out any other bits that there might be in that sour strawberry juice base, I'm going to put in some apple cider vinegar with the mother. It produces a starter. It's like it starts a brand new batch of vinegar for you. I have tried many different vinegars to start off these fruit vinegar batches, but do you know what? I like Biona's apple cider vinegar with the mother the best, the organic one that they do, because the flavour is so well rounded when it matches up with some of these sweet fruits that I like to use. And as a vinegar, it's not got that awful biting sharpness that you can get. I mean, biting sharp vinegar is brilliant on your chips, but it's not particularly good on your apple cider sort of style vinegars, the ones you're making at home. So the next move after that, after adding the vinegar, is simply to decant the vinegar into jars, and that's what I've done. So decant the vinegar into jars, cover them with a muslin cloth. I'll show you that in some pictures here, and then all you do really is you just wait till it reaches the sharpness and flavour of vinegar that you're after. You still have to leave it to mature. It needs to be bottled and left until you want to start using it, so there's still some way to go with that, but I'll be sure to take you along with me. It will be worth it. Also, just so you know, it is the sort of thing that you can give as Christmas gifts if you are the kind of person that likes to make your own hampers. So think in terms of not just now, think in terms of what it could be useful for beyond food later in the year as well. So then, I'm sitting here with my fresh tomatoes. Self-sufficiency, I think, just needs a place to start. And yes, my list is overflowing, but that's okay. June's a busy time of the year, and I know I'll get round to it all gradually. People will come round and help me if I ask them to, so I'm not by myself with this. I think the thing to remember is we begin where we are and we grow from there. I want you to know how much it means to me that you are here with me. Consider subscribing, and then we can grow together. I'll see you next time.